The illusory truth effect. There is a moment when a statement stops sounding unfamiliar and starts sounding true, not because it has been proven, not because evidence appeared, but because you've heard it before. This is the illusory truth effect, the psychological phenomenon where repeated information feels more believable, regardless of whether it is accurate. 1. When repetition replaces evidence, the illusory truth effect occurs. When familiarity is mistaken for truth, a claim is repeated, then repeated again, then heard from multiple places. Over time, resistance fades. The mind stops asking, "Is this correct?" and starts asking, "Why does this feel right?" Repetition creates comfort. Comfort creates trust. 2. Why the brain confuses familiarity with accuracy. The human brain is designed to conserve energy. Evaluating truth requires effort. Recognizing familiarity does not. So the mind uses familiarity as a shortcut for credibility. If I've heard this often, the brain assumes it must have passed some tests. But repetition is not verification. It is exposure. And exposure feels convincing. 3. Fluency feels like truth. One reason the illusory truth effect is so powerful is processing fluency. Information that is easy to process feels more trustworthy. Repeated statements are smoother, faster to understand, less mentally demanding. The brain interprets this ease as reliability, not because it is true, but because it is familiar. 4. The role of authority and sources. The illusory truth effect strengthens when repetition comes from authority. Experts, institutions, media outlets, confident voices. When many sources echo the same idea, the mind assumes consensus, and consensus feels like truth, even when the sources are repeating one another. 5. Memory without meaning. The illusory truth effect operates quietly because it does not feel like persuasion. There is no argument, no pressure, just presence. A statement lingers in memory, without context, without justification. And later, when recalled, it feels self-evident. The mind remembers a claim, but forgets where it came from. 6. The moral cost of repeated falsehoods. The illusory truth effect has ethical consequences. False ideas repeated often enough begin to feel normal. Harmful narratives become acceptable. Oversimplifications become beliefs, not because people are careless, but because repetition dulls skepticism. Truth becomes crowded out by familiarity. 7. Illusory truth in everyday life. This effect appears everywhere. In headlines repeated across platforms, in slogans, in stereotypes, in self-talk. A belief about yourself, repeated long enough, starts to feel like identity. I'm bad at this. That's just how things are. It's always been this way. Repetition shapes reality internally. 8. Awareness is interruption. The illusory truth effect cannot be eliminated, but it can be interrupted. Awareness creates space between familiarity and belief. Ask, have I examined this or just heard it often? Do I know why I believe this? What evidence supports it? Familiarity should invite inquiry, not replace it. 9. Choosing effort over ease. Truth is often effortful. It requires friction, revision, uncertainty. Familiarity is easy, comfortable, predictable. The mind prefers ease. Responsibility prefers effort. 10. Responsibility beyond repetition. The illusory truth effect reveals a quiet truth. The mind confuses repetition with reliability, but responsibility begins when familiarity no longer replaces verification. This is Ethiax, where psychology meets responsibility, and responsibility begins when what feels true is finally examined. For what is true